everyone, and welcome to Shell Point Today for Monday, March 28th. I'm Dan Philgreen. On today's show, we'll learn about Professor Adrian Kerr's Academy class on Portugal. Fitness coordinator Michelle Tompkins invites us to the Healthy Living class, and Jeff Cory of the Legacy Foundation speaks with the president of the Alliance Development Fund. But first, we'd like to remind you of the spring concert with the Shell Point Singers this Thursday evening, featuring music from blockbuster show tunes. Come hear selections from Annie, A Chorus Line, Beauty and the Beast, Fiddler on the Roof, The King and I, The Sound of Music, and more. The concert begins at 7:15 in the Village Church, and no ticket is required. Now don't forget, there's one final opportunity to get in on the Assisted Living Springtime Tea and Tour. This Thursday at 10 a.m. it will be held at the King's Crown. Join Rita Southern and learn all about transitioning through the continuum of care here at Shell Point. You'll meet your case manager, tour the facilities, and more. RSVP is required by calling 454-2077. April is National Parkinson's Awareness Month, and you're invited to a special movie screening on the 5th to watch Capturing Grace. It's the remarkable story of New York's Mark Morris Dance Group joining forces with people with Parkinson's disease to stage a unique public performance. It's an inspiring story about the power of art and the enduring strength of the human spirit. There will also be a short discussion following the movie with guest speaker Ashley LeBlanc, who has worked with specialists at the University of Florida's Movement Disorder Clinic. Light refreshments will be served. Please RSVP by calling Michelle Martin at Hope Healthcare at 985-7727. You're invited to come learn how the Portuguese explorers defied the odds and created a global empire in the late 14th century. At its height, their great trading network stretched from Brazil to Angola, Goa, Malacca, China, and Japan. For over 100 years, Portugal commanded the world's seas. But what was it that ended their reign? Professor Adrian Kerr's Academy class will give you all the answers this Thursday, and he and Terry Koleth will give you a preview right now.
Hi, I'm Terry Koleth with Professor Adrian Kerr. We're speaking about another new class he's developed for us, this time Portugal. Hello, Adrian. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Terry. It's always great to be at Shell Point.
Thank you. Portugal, the first global empire. Really?
You're saying, like many people, what a stretch. Is he making this stuff up? You have to go back to the period when the great Christian city of Constantinople, now called Istanbul, commanded the Eastern Roman Empire for 1,000 years. Its walls were the greatest in the world. It had not been conquered, but it fell in the 15th century to the Ottomans. And no longer did Christian Europe have access to the Silk Road or the spice routes that they had dominated for 2,000 years. That raised the question that all these very high, expensive luxury goods, such as spice, nutmeg, ivory, ebony, would now be controlled by the enemies of Christianity, which were the Ottoman Turks. So the thinking began to change, is how do we get access to the East? And we have to remember that pepper, which is the biggest spice consumed in the Roman world, pepper comes from southern India, all of it. And there were 2 ships a month which went to India, Roman ships, and then came back again with pepper. Pepper was sold for the same value as silver.
Unbelievable.
So, and nutmeg likewise. And so if you can control those big demand, valuable products, you can make a lot of money. And so the control went to the Ottoman Turks and away from Christian Europe. So Christian Europe began to think, is there a way to access the Silk Road suppliers and the East African ebony and ivory trade, and also the possibility of slavery, and also pepper from India? And all this came together in this tiny Atlantic country we call Portugal. It's hard to believe that there's only 1 million people at its peak. 1 million people lived in Portugal. And they had grown up on living fishing and maritime expertise, as the British did later. They're an early version of what the British Empire became much later. And so they were the masters of the ocean. And under the guidance of a very far-sighted prince, we called him Prince Henry the Navigator, who was the son of the King of Portugal, he came up with the concept of, why don't we develop a fleet and navigation techniques and maps that can get us around Africa and into India, and we can have direct purchase of pepper and beyond. And of course, you don't do this overnight. And in the 16th century, they slowly went down the coast. Most people were frightened to sail out of sight of the coast. And they followed the coast all the way down past the Cape Verde Islands to Nigeria, slowly pushing down until Vasco da Gama got past the Congo and got to the southern part of Africa, and bingo, there's another ocean on the other side, and that was the Indian Ocean, which led to spice. You can imagine how he was received when he got back to Portugal. They were overjoyed that there was now a maritime route to access this valuable spice trade. They didn't have to go through the middlemen of the Turks. And that was the spark that ignited what was to become the first world empire. Without spoiling the story, Portugal then kept pushing east and east and east and east, all the way over to the area we call the Moluccas today, which is in Indonesia, where the nutmeg was found, and chives, cloves. That's the only place that was naturally occurring at that time. They had control of sandalwood and all these valuable products, and they had way stations. They were unlike later colonies, colonial powers. They, unlike France or Holland or England or Spain, they weren't trying to acquire territory. They just had cities and ports all the way through to the Indonesia area, so that they could call in, have security, you can keep your goods safe in a warehouse, and they set up these great military protected ports from Madagascar, Kenya, into the Gulf now. For instance, when the Straits of Hormuz, the island of Hormuz was a Portuguese fort.
Unbelievable.
And then they went on to Aden and carried on into Muscat and into Iran and so on. So all the way through to Indonesia, they were ports. The exception to the port-only, no territory rule was India itself. And here there's so much money involved, and also very great uncertainty between the rulers of the west coast of India. And the north, of course, was ruled by the Mughals, who didn't want to see the Portuguese coming in. But the Portuguese brought with them, as well as threat of perhaps losing pieces of territory and losing trade, they brought with them one thing which they needed, which was gunpowder, muskets and cannons. And so the individual rulers that they came to in the southern west part of India didn't really want to negotiate with the Portuguese, but if they didn't, then they lost out. And there were a number of battles between various people who tried to align themselves with Portugal. And this way, Portugal actually set up factories in India. Now, we think of factories as manufacturing cars. Factories in those days was based on the word factor, which is simply a storage, a warehouse. And so they had strategic warehouses all the way through their empire where they could keep sandalwood or cloves and spices and woods. And so it was for 100 years that if you were a spaceman coming to look at planet Earth, you would have seen the Portuguese Empire from Portugal itself through Africa, through India, through Indonesia. It was the biggest maritime empire the world had seen.
Interesting.
Just for 100 years. And then they lost focus. And I won't spoil it, but two things happened which meant that this great empire pretty much evaporated within the next 100 years. And I'll talk about who ate their lunch and where they went wrong in terms of their focus.
Very mysterious.
Yes.
So we're going to hear about pepper and ports and princes and Portugal. And Professor Adrian Kerr is going to unravel it all for us. And we'll learn about the first global empire. Won't you join us?
It's not too late to think about healthy living. In fact, you can think about it, learn about it, ask questions about it, and practice healthy living by attending the next class. It takes place the first Tuesday of next month. Hey, that's next Tuesday. Here's Michelle Tompkins to tell us more.
Hi, I'm Michelle Tompkins. I'm very excited to share with you healthy living at our new time and date, the first Tuesday of the month in the Osprey Room at 11:45 to 12:15. This new and improved healthy living class will be led by myself, our fitness coordinators Hannah Hosterman, Cheryl Cooper, and Mel Brode as well. We'll bring together different topics each month that may include anything from fitness-related topics to nutrition, to anything that we may find in the internet, on the news, something that may spark our interest, and we'll want to bring that to class and share. The class is for employees and residents alike. We come together, we may discuss these topics, debate these topics, or share anything that we may find interesting that we've heard about in the magazine or whatnot. Please get excited and join us and join the fitness coordinators at the Osprey Room the first Tuesday of each month for Healthy Living, 11:45 to 12:15.
Jeff Cory of the Legacy Foundation has a special guest he is speaking with today. Larry McCooey is the president of the Alliance Development Fund. They are an organization that helps churches build, expand, or renovate their facilities. Jeff speaks with Larry now to learn more about the ADF and how residents can invest into these works through the Development Fund.
Hi, I'm Jeff Cory from the Legacy Foundation here at Shell Point, and we have a guest with us today, Mr. Larry McCooey, the president of the Alliance Development Fund. And Larry, welcome to Shell Point.
Thanks, Jeff. Great to be with you.
The Alliance Development Fund, it's a sister organization to Shell Point.
Right.
And can you give us a little bit of background? I know particularly residents that are familiar with the Christian Missionary Alliance and the Village Church, they're familiar with the Alliance Development Fund, but Could you give our other residents a little information about what you all do?
Sure, yeah, I'd be glad to. Yeah, as you say, we're kind of sister organizations, Shell Point and ADF, as well as with the Alliance Community for Retirement Living up in DeLand and other organizations inside the Alliance. So ADF really is the organization that helps churches build, buy, renovate, or expand their facilities so they can accomplish what God has for them. And Alliance family members and friends, including residents here at Shell Point, invest in various products that ADF offers, like investment certificates, and those funds are what we use to make those loans. So, and those churches then, and the people who attend them primarily, are the ones who support the worldwide work of the Alliance by supporting the international workers as well as projects overseas. And in Florida here, we have about $16 million of investments from Florida residents and about $17 million in loans to Alliance churches here in the state.
Just in the state of Florida. How many loans do you have throughout the country?
Right now we have about 500 loans outstanding, and our loan balance is probably about $240 million.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
How long has the Alliance Development Fund been around?
We were actually started in 1978. Before that, there was a small fund that the denomination started back in the late 50s called the Church Extension Loan Fund. And it was converted to the Alliance Development Fund in 1978. And then in about 1997, we became a separate wholly owned subsidiary. They just wanted to have it in a separate subsidiary so that it's easier to manage. The CNMA leadership didn't want to have to deal with it directly and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I've been around a long time.
Yeah. So investment certificates are much like a certificate of deposit at the bank.
Right.
They pay an interest rate for a defined period of time, I assume.
Right. Yeah, and the rate's higher the longer you leave the money in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give our residents an idea of today what rates might be in an ADF investment certificate?
Yeah, right now they're around 2% at for 5 years, and it goes down from there. Okay. But that's sort of our highest. But investors can also go out longer if they need a higher interest rate. The longer they take it out, the higher the interest rate would be.
Okay. Yeah. And so again, the premise with ADF and the Christian Missionary Alliance is to make deposits in these certificates that you in turn then make loans to churches that are growing and building. It's sort of building a church instead of building a bank.
That's exactly right. And we like to say that investors get a kingdom return on investment because they're building churches where lives are being transformed, but they're also getting a stable investment, a good income stream with a good rate of return, and without the volatility that they would experience in the financial markets. So, and then, the churches they build are going to be around for a long time after they're gone, so it's a great legacy, too.
It's a great program. And we've had a great relationship with the Alliance Development Fund and Shell Point for many years. Yeah. And you've supported our golf tournament. You've been a part of many of the programs that we have here, so we appreciate that.
Oh, well, thanks.
And I know our residents appreciate the little higher interest rate that they get, but also wanting to do something that's motivated by giving back and supporting, like you said, leaving a legacy.
Right.
So the other thing, Larry, is you're also the president of the Orchard Foundation.
Correct.
Could you tell our folks a little bit about what the Orchard Foundation is?
Sure. The Orchard Foundation is another sister organization that supports the Alliance. And we provide various products and services regarding mainly planned gifts, so fiduciary services, managing trust and endowments. We offer charitable gift annuities, which a lot of the residents here have. And so we're the ones that issue those.
Okay. Yeah. Now, just talking a little bit about gift annuities, because you mentioned Shell Point residents. We've had a relationship for years where most of our Shell Point gift annuities run through the Orchard Foundation. Can you tell me a little bit about that program, how much money you have, how safe is a gift annuity, and
Yeah. Well, we try to, we have to manage it like you would a kind of an insurance product, so we have to have reserves, and we have to file with every state to be able to offer these charitable gift annuities, and we have to maintain reserves at a certain level, and we set our levels higher than what's required by the regulators. So right now we have about $11 million in that pool. And but it's constantly growing. There's money going out and there's money coming in. Right. So, but right now there's about $11 million in there.
Okay. Yeah. Now I noticed in the last few years you've sort of branched out from not only serving Christian Missionary Alliance organizations, but many other types of organizations. Right. How many other partners do you have out there?
We have about 35 other partners now. About 5 years ago, we said, well, we've got this structure built to be able to do charitable gift annuities and trusts and endowments and all that, and we're serving the Alliance, but we have capacity to serve others as well, and so we do that. So we have many great organizations, the Association of Gospel Missions, we have World Relief, organizations like that are great ministries that we're able to support. And again, taking a kingdom perspective on how can we serve with what we've been given, and it's working out really well.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah. So we have lots of residents looking for monthly income and ways to increase their income. I think an ADF investment certificate's a good thing for them to perhaps look at. Yeah. And we have you brought by some circulars for us to have in our office, a packet of information for those that might be interested.
Yeah, everything they need is in there. They can either send in an application or they can do the application online. And so we try to make it as easy as we can.
Great.
For them.
Great. Well, we appreciate your partnership and your staff, and they work, tremendously for Shell Point in many ways, and we want to thank you for that, as well as thank you on behalf of our residents that support the Alliance Development Fund and gift annuities through Shell Point. So
great. Well, we're grateful for them entrusting us with their funds and for participating in kingdom work, which it really is.
No, That's great, Larry. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
So if you'd like some more information about the Alliance Development Fund, please stop by the Legacy Foundation office. We have a packet of information we'd be happy to provide you with. And again, thank you, Larry, for being with us today.
Thanks a lot.
And have a great day.
And now it's time to take a look at today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections. Right after this word from Listening to the Words from David Hauenstein.
Welcome to an encore performance of Program 139 of Listening to the Words, first aired back in 2014. This program looks at how more and more Americans are involved in rescuing mistreated animals. One example is a woman who spent years finding and then saving her horse. Another is in a farm in northern Florida, and there they rescue abused horses. You'll also go on a wild taxi ride in Brooklyn and enjoy Nita DeWeese's humorous look at Sunday morning traffic right here in Fort Myers. Also, a story by a nephew of mine whose car kept starting and running by itself. You'll want to hear Hank Heitman's childhood memory of a homeless friend in Miami Beach. This is David Hauenstein reminding you that these are just some of the stories and articles I've put together in this encore program for your listening pleasure this week on Listening to the Words, airing every half hour every day this week on your Shell Point Channel 12. As always, thank you for listening to the words.
Hello and welcome to the Happening segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley.
And I'm Caitlin Van Scoy.
And we're going to tell you some of the activities going on for you here today at Shell Point. We have an 8 o'clock men's match play tennis going on at the Woodlands Tennis Court this morning. And it's also Beach Day. Court pickups begin for those who've signed up for Beach Day at 8:30 on the island, 8:40 at the Woodlands, and 8:50 for Eagles Preserve and the Estuary. We have virtual bowling in the Resident Activity Center at 8:45. And 9:15, the billiards will be also at the Resident Activity Center. The Lollygaggers paddlers will be leaving from the kayak storage facility at 9:15. And we also have 9:15 pottery with instruction available down in the pottery studio. At 10 o'clock, it's time for men's match play tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. And the Susie Q boat heads to Matanzas on the Bay at 10 o'clock. The Disciple Men's Bible Study Group will meet in the game room of the Woodlands at 10:30. And at 10:45, table tennis with a clinic will be in the Island Tunnel. Here's Caitlin. She's going to tell you about the afternoon lineup.
Thank you, Bev. We start at 12 o'clock with Mahjong. That'll be meeting in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. And Samba the card game will be available at 1:15 in the Resident Activity Center. Tone Chimes will be meeting in the Osprey Room at 1:15. And from 1:30 to 3:30, the Model Train Room will be open for complimentary tours and viewing. That's down in the Island Tunnel in the train room. The BDIB Club will meet in the Oak Room of the Woodlands at 2 o'clock. And then we move to 3 o'clock for a Pilates stretch, a Health Connections class. That'll be held in the Tarpon Room. At 3:15, we have Shell Point Singers rehearsal. They'll meet in the choir room of the Village Church. 5 o'clock's the time for the singles table being available at the Crystal Dining Room. And beginner square dancing will be held in the Tarpon Room at 6:30. Also at 6:30, Duplicate Bridge will be in the Woodlands Game Room. And it's movie night. It's Easter Parade at 6:45. That is a 1948 film. That'll be held in the Social Center. Our last Monday activity is square dancing at 7:30 in the Tarpon Room. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Monday, March 28th. At 10:15, our iPad context class continues in the Manatee Room of the Island. At 10:30, Anatomy of Words will continue in the Oak Room of the Woodlands, and they welcome everyone. At 1:15, Intermediate iPad 2 will begin in the Technology Teaching Center on the island. Sign up is required.
Menus for Monday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is turkey scallopini with broccoli and brown rice pilaf. The dinner special is Old Home Cooking Night for $13.95. The soup of the day is vegetable beef. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is turkey Reuben with fries for $7.75. The dinner special is char-grilled chicken breast with mango and avocado, potato cakes, and green beans for $8.75. The Palm Grill is closed on Mondays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, I'm Randy Woods. It's a privilege to serve as the Minister of Worship and Music here at the Village Church at Shell Point. And again this year, I'm privileged to talk to you about our Season of Praise concert series. As in the past, this year we will continue to present some outstanding inspirational concerts and programs throughout the season. We conclude the Season of Praise concert series in April with Tenore, which is a 3-tenor male ensemble. Very unique and certainly winning a lot of awards. These young men serve in churches throughout the country as worship leaders, as soloists, and they combine their hearts, their talents, their voices for a special concert in April. The Season of Praise continues with these exceptional opportunities for us to gather and worship to celebrate God's goodness through the arts. So I trust that you'll get your tickets and join us. You can come to the church and get your tickets right here at the church during regular office hours, or you can go online at shellpoint.org/SOP for Season of Praise. There's a brochure available at the church as well as the Activity Center. You can get your copy, but be sure to get tickets, $10 per person for each of those concerts, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the season as we share in this celebration of praise unto the Lord.
Thanks for joining us for today's program. Return tomorrow when Melody Desolé will take a lesson to improve her golfing skills, and Ingrid Oliver will talk to us about the fun of Zumba fitness. Until then, this has been Shell Point Today for March 28th. I'm Dan Philgreen, wishing you a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.